Hi, welcome to this new session of change management. Many people want to change. They expect change happening outside them, expect change happening other places, but unfortunately, not everybody is ready to accept change. There is resistance and there's always some ambiguity with respect to change. Everyone thinks of changing the world, but no one thinks of changing themselves. Leo Tolstoy, a Russian great, said this. Change is the most inevitable. Change is the only constant. Slowness to change usually means fear of the new. When we are scared of the new changes happening to us, when we think about going it in a slow way, we are scared. The new scares us, so there is extreme slowness to change. Why do people resist change? Change puts people out of their comfort zone, is connected with fear, is connected to emotions, threats to one ability, not adaptive and not being flexible. All this is where people normally resist change. It is easy to say no to change. It's because we have something called as paradigm. Let's define paradigm. Paradigm is a set pattern, something that has already been followed. We'll call it traditional. A traditional thought, when it is being changed, is when we develop with mindset and mental blocks. This is paradigm. People who have a heavy or high resistance to change suffer from something called as paradigm paralysis. Likewise, the opposite. People who are open-minded, adaptable to new things, want to adapt to new things have something called as paradigm flexibility. Opposites, paradigm paralysis and paradigm flexibility. Now, when people can strongly say yes to change, adapt to new things and the new technologies and the new world and open-mindedness and flexibility, everything is adapting to this constant thing called change, where we have accepted the inevitable. When something doesn't fit in our rules, resistance happens. The phenomenon is called paradigm effect. It is this paradigm effect which makes us say no. A paradigm effect is a paradigm paralysis which stops us from accepting change. With an open-minded thought, and I can be adaptable to things where I can be accepting and blocking that mental blocks or stopping those mental blocks or getting away from that mindset is when I can have a greater flexibility on paradigm. Let's understand and go back to the thought about why people resist change. When we say emotion is one of the part about why people resist change. Emotionally, we are connected to something. We are not able to let it go. It could be an old phone. It could be anything at home or people, or even though, let's say about it, go to the direst of the situations where somebody that we love is no more. Now we are not able to move away from that. People fall into depression. There's a lot of problem that happens because we did not accept the change that life has bestowed on us. Somewhere we think we have to be stick with it. Next, everything around us looks very different. And this difference puts a block in my regular way of going across, regular way of doing something. Now this lot of different things around us stops us from adapting to those changes faster. Concern about competence. We are worried about whether we'll be able to withstand the competition that is there, withstand the competence that is around, withstand what is happening around us which is not comfortable to us. Again, using the word comfort, we are very worried about moving out of the comfort zone. That is also, again, resistant to change. And next part, lazy people don't want to change because there is more work to do. Now, since there will be more work to do and we are also connected to the old ways and we are not able to adapt to the new ways, we are going to resist change. There are 4 important changes, types of changes. The first one is called as economical change. The second is called as technological change. The third is called as cultural change. And the fourth is called as structural change. Now let's one by one look about how this is making an important or a difference in us, or why people are still resisting those things. Let's look at economical change. Economical change is caused by technology and progress in regular features of history. We also can take an example of politics. Let us take the present situation here. Well, this is unbiased thoughts. It is just an example about how a political change can result in economical change. Now, we know about that Amaravati was supposed to be the capital of Andhra Pradesh. Unfortunately, because there was a change in the political scenario, Amaravati is no more considered to be the capital of Andhra Pradesh. Thereby, the investment that went into Amaravati has come to a dead end. That means a political change made a change in economic condition. Or let's consider an election day. On an election day, a particular office or a particular government job officer is not going out to the office. It's because he's on leave. He's been given a holiday to go and vote. So the production or whatever the work that was supposed to be done in the government sector, public sector, private sector, everything comes to a standstill, thereby bringing in a lot of economical change. Now, economical change is a shift in the structure of the economic system of the country, or it could be on the national basis or a global basis or in a society or in everyday's life. Continuing from economical change, let us travel again and go forward for technological change. Technological change is an increase in the efficiency of a product or process wherein the increase in output without an increase in input. Meaning to say, a particular thing which is reinvested or which is actually upgraded into something else is the investment is lesser compared to what is the output that is go out. That means the income that is going to come out. Simplest example, moving on from Windows 7 to Windows 8, Windows 8 to Windows 10. This speaks about it that there's been a technological change. Now, technological change is about someone invents or improves an existing product to make it look better, wherein the increase and the change is going to make a lot of difference. Now, many people who are very comfortable with XP did not understand the issues or did not understand the upgradation that happened with Windows 7. So that technological change with a minimum of investment, an increase in production, this change is also one of the major resistance people have. Cultural change is a term used in the public policy. Let us stop here and think something. While I was growing up, coins were the best thing that I used. My father used to give me some coins that he used to get out of his shops from wherever he goes in. I used to put in my piggy banks, and whenever I had to take it out, those were the coins. Later, I understood that notes were given out, a 1 rupee note, a 2 rupee note, a 5 rupee note, a 10 rupee note. Now, after some time, when I started working, they came up with a concept called, we do not have to carry cash, but a plastic card would help. Now, this plastic card was used in shops or commercial establishments, where I just give the card, they swipe and give this, or I go to a bank, I go to an ATM and insert the card, I get my money. After this, they came up with something called as e-wallet, wherein Paytm came up with this concept. I asked for a number of the vendor whom I have to pay, and I just take the number, type in, punch in and send out. Now, there was multiple problems again because numbers are getting disturbed. Now, they were coming up with an idea where they had a scanner, a code, a scan code where I scan it and I transfer money. Now, this whole process is called cultural change, wherein we were used to having an old telephone, ring it, hold it on this receiver, speak. Then came button phones, then came wireless phones, then came mobile phones. Shorter, as it became the shortest good, then it became the biggest, it was better because smartphones took over. Today, we hold the whole world in our hands. We do everything with our phones and e-wallet. The best example for cultural changes. Things around us change, and this cultural changes is what is impacting, and if there's a resistance, we end up having paralysis of paradigm. Okay, structural changes refer to dramatic shift in the way a country, industry or the market operates. Structural changes often sparked by technological innovations, new economical developments or global shift in the pool of capital. Let us again take an example. Long back, America was paying 40,000 rupees Indian currency to a person working in America on a certain process. The same process could be done in India by an Indian with an amount of 8,000 Indian currency. Now, America thought they could understand that India was a market that was unexplored because the manpower here were very flexible and adaptable to new languages. So thereby, they started outsourcing and call centers started coming out to India, wherein a person with 40,000 Indian currency could be managed the same job with 8,000 Indian currency. So here they saw this pool of people available, flexible people available, manual labor available. Now capital and labor took over, where the outsourcing started happening, and thereby they were able to save money. Huge structural change. Now these four changes and the types of changes mentioned makes a huge difference on the management of change, wherein from being into a paralysis of paradigm, we can get into something called as a flexibility of paradigm, where I am willing to adapt to new things. Creating the future. The past is the way we were. The present is the way we are. The future is the way we want to be. My past and my present will make my future bright. The way we are and the way we want to be is definitely influenced by the way we were. Now the way we were will make us the way we are, and the way we are will project us to be the way we want. So my future is going to be good if I can adapt to changes. Now when I said creating the future, I remember a beautiful story I've heard long time back. There was a kingdom once upon a time. The subjects of the kingdom were very happy. The king was prosperous. He was a fantastic noble king who took care of his people well. But there was something which always disturbed him. What will happen to his country, his kingdom, after him? Because he didn't have any heir. Now with no heir, he didn't know where the kingdom will go. Who will take care of his subjects? One day, he came up with a brilliant idea and announced it in his kingdom through his ministers and generals in the army that he will make anybody who comes forward king for 1 year with a condition that that new king after a year will be taken to the northern part of the kingdom where there was a heavy dense jungle which was inhabited with man-eaters and wild animals, and he'll be left there to die. Everybody wanted to be the king. Everybody wanted the luxury of being a king. But unfortunately, nobody wanted to die. They could not take it. After almost 7 months later, a youth came forward telling that he would take up the opportunity of being a king. People tried to dissuade him. People tried to persuade him, telling, don't do it. But unfortunately, it fell on deaf ears. He wanted to be the king. Now the old king put the new king on the throne and went on a pilgrimage. The new king took over. 1 year later, old king came back and the new king was ready to go to the jungle. The army people, the general and the minister took the new king out towards the jungle. When they went close to the jungle, they were shocked to see it was a big clearing. There was no more animals there. There was no more jungle, but there was a beautiful palace that was around, and a lot of people are waiting in the palace to welcome the new king. When the old king asked, how is this possible? The new king said, with the powers that I had for 1 full year, I built a new kingdom, I built a new army, I built a new palace. This is a very true story where the king thought about creating his own future. With all the power he had, he created something new for himself. And this true story says about it that the first kingdom is Kashi and the second is Uttarkashi. Change is inevitable. Change is the only constant. I hereby come to the end of this session. In the next session, I'll be discussing about change management more.